Welcome to the Secure the Perimeter podcast.
Welcome to the Secure the Perimeter podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about leadership. Leadership is something I think that society is lacking a lot of these days. And the leadership that I'm going to talk about are leadership principles that are forged. They're not created, they're not curated, they're not manufactured from AI. These leadership principles I'm going to discuss today are forged from real adversity. What kind of leader are you? And I think everyone needs to do a real evaluation. And if you're an entrepreneur, that's been in business for more than a year, 2, 3, 5, 15 years, you know what I'm talking about. If you're an operator, you know what I'm talking about, because it requires a lot to be an operator, to be a door kicker, as we call them. And so today we're going to talk about leadership in business and how these principles apply in business. So, listen, leaders are formed in times of adversity. A lot of people get this misconstrued because they think that leadership is something you can read in a book, and it's really not. Because as we discussed in one of our last podcasts with Dakota Meyer talked about leadership and knowledge. And knowledge and education. There's a difference between knowledge and education. Knowledge is something you read in a book. Education is something you get through sheer experience. And so, if you've been in business for a little while and you've fought the uphill battle of the challenges that entrepreneurs face, such as gathering working capital, getting a great product, getting customers behind it, working behind the scenes, doing the marketing. As you all know, marketing has completely flipped in the last 3 to 5 years. Sales funnels are being, constructed and fixed every day and altered and changed. But your leadership is illuminated in times of challenge. And so most people, when they go through hard times, they want to pump the brakes. And I'm here to tell you, that's not the time to pump the brakes. It's time to hit the gas. Because hard times create better men. And so and I think it's a learned process, right? And when you face hard times, everyone's default reaction is to pump the brakes and look for the easier path because of the response to pain. You learn in life to embrace the times that are hard, because those times are what forges real leaders. And to help you to grow your business, you have to embrace hardship. An employee quits. A customer who changes course of direction and goes another way. Funding that fell through. A personal tragedy in your family. All these things are definitely setbacks in any business, any entrepreneur's experience or journey. But these are the times that will forge you. And ideally, you really need to embrace hardship as part of the course. It's part of the journey. You just have to accept it. It's part of the journey. And once you realize that it's part of the journey, you start to fundamentally understand the purpose and reason. And I've talked about this in one of the last podcasts, and Dakota Meyer even elaborated about this. But instead of looking at it as tragedy, you use it as fuel, and you convert that fuel into positive energy for growth. That is almost a science. And once you figure that out, it's almost a superpower. You're on a hard run, say you're 15 miles into your run. If you're a runner, you know what I'm talking about. You're 15 miles into your run, and you're out of gas. You literally have zero in your tank. But you have to reach down inside and find what we call intestinal fortitude, bring it to the surface, and use that as fuel to get you through the next 15 miles. Those are times that literally forge good leaders. And in those times, you've got two options: fall and quit, or keep plowing through it and get through it. It's easier said than done. But when you lose access to funding, when you have a personal tragedy, when you have a great employee that quits or leaves your organization, or a customer changes course of direction and goes to someone else, goes to your competition, you have to use that as fuel. Figure out how to convert that into fuel. And you say, well, Brent, how do I convert that into fuel? Find out why that was a good thing. And you're like, man, there's nothing good in, losing my funding. There's nothing good in a great employee leaving. There's nothing good in the competition leaving and going somewhere else and going to my competition. My customers going to my competition. But I disagree. There's good in every bad thing. Even a personal tragedy. I've been through a lot of personal tragedy in my life, and I would never call, the death of a loved one a good thing, but I would say that there is some kind of good to be taken away from that experience, from that tragedy, from that death. And it's generally rooted around growth. I lost my dad back in 2019, even before COVID. But there was, even in the tragedy of that experience, I found growth, and it caused me to do a hard reset. And so in those times, you can crumble or you can grow. And you could be illuminated from it, either way. So running an organization, fundamentally, you really have to reach down inside and find what we call intestinal fortitude. Find the energy to get through it. Everyone hits hard times. You've got to remember that. Michael Jordan hits hard times. Celebrities that people look up to, operators who fight for freedom and democracy, fight the enemy, door kickers, even the most elite, baddest dudes in the world hit hard times. And you've got to remember that. And if anything, you keep showing up. The minimum thing you can do is keep showing up. You've got to have a Titan mindset. Eddie Wilson wrote a great book, The Titan Principle. And what he does in the book is, without spoiling the book, he goes into a lot of detail about different leaders throughout our history that have literally forged and paved a path to a better way of life, or fighting for the right things, or democracy, from George Washington through Winston Churchill. These people literally at times felt like they were fighting alone. And although we read about them in history books as, these great leaders, what people don't see is just like Kobe Bryant. They don't see them off camera. Although there were no such thing as cameras back in George Washington's day, they didn't see him when he wasn't in the limelight. He faced a lot of adversity. He was against the Parliament. He went against Great Britain. And he did what was right. And he was for what was right. Even though it cost him greatly, he still went. And so in business, you've got to have the same Titan mindset. You have to just, if you have nothing in your tank, zero, just keep showing up. Just keep getting back up. And it will work. It does work when you apply these principles. You've got to have a way to find positive in any tragedy that happens to you. And you have to grow through it. We say you go through it, you have to grow through it. And so if you said, Brent, what is the one key ingredient to, continuing through this thing that I'm going through? As weird as it sounds, integrity. You have to have integrity. Truth. Truth will set you free, and truth will sometimes be the deciding factor of why someone decides to do business with you, because you have integrity. So if you have nothing else to give, the one thing you can have is integrity. If you keep showing up and you have integrity, you will definitely get somewhere. And so what kind of leader are you? Are you professional? Are you unprofessional? We talked about this in the last podcast. Trash talking the competition. Don't do it. Don't trash talk the competition. In fact, be the opposite. Encourage, because it's, as I said in the last podcast, it's your responsibility to build a great product. It's up to the customer to decide who they're going to go with, you or the competition. If they choose the competition, find out why. Sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes the customer made a bad decision. That's on them. But if you focus on your craft and your product and your service, then you make it easier for the customer to do business with you if you work hard enough and you focus on your craft. And so leaders, although are forged in times of adversity, the ones who keep showing up and have integrity at least have the foundational principles to get through things. And this pertains to everyone, whether you're an operator kicking doors through, you're the president of the United States, you're the CEO of an organization, or you're the volunteer at a local food bank. If feeding people are what you like to do and you have challenges because you can't get there as often as you would like, or you've got obstacles in the way, you've got to take the kids to school, or somebody's sick, or whatever the case may be, you just have to keep showing up. And so in every event, be professional. Another great podcast from the GBRS group, DJ Shipley, talks about be a pro. Be professional. A lot of people don't know how to have the poker face. A lot of people don't know how to negotiate. These are two things you've got to establish. And when I say have a poker face, you've got to learn how to remove all emotion from conversations, from interactions, from business deals, negotiations at the table. You're trying to win a new customer. You're trying to negotiate with a customer or a vendor. You've got to learn how to have a poker face and remove all emotion from the conversation. And too many people don't know how to remove emotion. And if it's something that you don't know how to do, I would recommend you get better at it. Learn how to negotiate without emotion. Have the poker face. A few years ago, a good friend of mine was subject to, this bad customer that was very insulting and very condescending. And he kept insulting my friend and, basically cutting him down and, joking and laughing about him. And I pulled him aside and I asked him, I said, man, what's going on? Why are you allowing this customer to talk to you like that? Well, that's just the way this guy is. And, I don't want to disrupt the relationship. And I said, you've already disrupted the relationship and you allowed it. No matter whether they're a vendor or a customer, I don't care if they're the president of the United States. You never let anyone insult you or be condescending toward you. You have to stop them in their tracks, and the way you do that is you don't entertain it. You don't laugh at their jokes, and you stare the bull in the eyes, the bear in the eyes. Bears will try to intimidate you, and people sometimes will try to intimidate you. And if you don't entertain it, you don't give them a voice. And so these are leadership principles from real titans. Leaders lead, and they don't focus or assert energy toward bad jokes or condescending remarks. They stay focused on the point, and They're not emotional about it. So, as a takeaway to all you entrepreneurs out there, these tactics are effective. These tactics work. These tactics work in battle. These tactics work in business. And fundamentally, it's our responsibility to share the knowledge that we have with you so that you can create a great business organization and be sustainable using the principles that we train and teach you in these podcasts. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Secure the Perimeter podcast. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. Subscribe to our channel. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.